Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our session about mining botnets. So I'm Leonard, and this is my colleague Benson. We're both researchers from Trend Micro. Cryptocurrency mining. So by now we've all heard of this term. It's quite gotten popular, and it also have attracted a lot of attention, especially for those seeking to have more income or have more ways to gain income. So legitimate miners and illegal miners alike have been attracted to this cryptocurrency mining, as well as several new cryptocurrencies that have emerged in the past. So cyber criminals have been attracted into buying cryptocurrency mining botnets, and as well as several malware authors have been encouraged to produce more mining botnets as time goes by. So in the past year, in 2017, we have seen a pattern of increasing activity of cryptocurrency mining botnets. So if you look at the slides here, it's a record of the activity of several endpoints connecting to cryptocurrency mining botnet, CNCs, as well as the number of CNCs that have been active throughout the year. So you can see the pattern that is increasing. So today we will talk about three case studies, basically about three cryptocurrency mining botnets. First, Retadupe. It's originally an info stealer that's transitioned to coin mining. Digmine. It's made use of a popular social media platform to propagate, and I'm Sorry Miner, which is currently widely sold in the underground market. So we'll examine these three families and talk about how they gain more victims, how they communicate to their CNCs, and what other attributes they have. And also we'll talk about several coin miner botnet capabilities and features that's being advertised in the underground. Also, some features that's being requested by buyers of these botnets. So to start off, we talk about Retadupe. So Retadupe's originally a info stealer botnet. So an overview of its info stealer days. It's been coded in AutoIt, and it's using the .a3x extension. So it's version 3 of AutoIt, which is compressed and encrypted. So its main features are it has a remote access Trojan capability, which is a full feature. It's using keylogging for keylogging keystrokes, and it steals various credentials, like credentials from browsers, Outlook, etc. So this version mainly focuses on stealing information. So that's the main way of how the Retadupe actors gain income by stealing information and selling them to someone else, several buyers. And its main mechanism to spread is via removable drives. So it is a worm, basically. So transitioning to coin mining, since InfoStealer, you need to first sell your data in order to monetize what you've stolen. However, coin mining, as long as your miner is working, you're constantly gaining income without needing to sell or trade your coins. Even you can use the coins directly to buy several stuff from just about other underground shops. So to transition into mining, Retadupe has split its components. So it has now a separate file for the bot as well as the spreader component, which also acts as a installer. So apart from that, there's also the set of mining components. So these are basically coded in AutoIt, as well, the miner as well, and they're split into two distinct architectures, mainly for 32-bit and 64-bit. So the bot feature of RetaDupe has been reduced drastically. No more information theft, no more keystroke logging, and the rat function, which was before it's fully functional rat, which can totally take over the victim's machine. Now it's mainly designed only to manage the mining activity of RetaDupe. So as an AutoIt, it's required to use the AutoIt interpreter. So as you can see, there's a component which is a legitimate AutoIt engine. So it's the one that interprets the bot and the spreader components. So to propagate, RetaDupe propagates via removable drives. So what it does is, while the spreader component is actively running in the victim machine, if you plug in a removable drive, RetaDupe will copy all the content of its installation folder into the removable drives, as well as on every folder in those drives. And in order for it to have a launching capability from the removable drives, it will create a shortcut file. So this technique is kind of quite common in worms that spread through flash drives. So when we inspect the LNK file, the shortcut file, we can see that it's launching the spreader component as a parameter for the AutoIt engine. So the AutoIt engine is basically a legitimate part of AutoIt. Now we talk about how RetaDupe communicates via its CNC. So RetaDupe is using the classic example of a beaconing communication. So it sends a beacon to the CNC and wait for it to reply with any queued tasks, or if there's none, it will tell it to sleep for how long it wants it to sleep. Basically, that's also the time the CNC tells the RetaDupe when to beacon next. So this is an example of its beacon communication packet. So what it has is several information that's useful for the CNC in order for it to determine what's the next command to be sent. So first part is a victim ID. It's used by RetaDupe to track which victim is which on its control panel. In a hard-coded flag, so this is always 1 by default. Processor count so tells basically how many processor the victim machine has, useful for mining knowledge. And worm process flag telling the CNC if the worm process is already running or not. So if it's not running, so normally CNC should tell the bot to you should download or either run the miner component. So miner process flag, again, this is for miner. And the worker folder content. So this is basically that worker folder that we've seen earlier. So if it's not present, so basically RetaDupe just needs to download the miner component and put it into the worker component. And for the victim ID, this is composed of several information, which is then hashed into MD5. So they gather the OS language, OS version, OS build number, processor architecture, and home drive serial. So combining this information, they're hashed into MD5, and then the MD5 result will again be hashed into another MD5. And that becomes the victim ID tag for the current victim. So in response, RetaDupe will send a encoded message to the bot. So they have 2 layers of encoding, base64 and string to hex. So there's quite a level of difficulty compared to just plain text communication. But here's an example of a response from CNC when there's no task on queue. So if we decode it, so it's basically a sleep. It tells the bot sleep for 30 seconds and beacon after the next 30 seconds again, just to see if there's another task. So if there's no task again, the CNC will just tell him to go sleep again and beacon the next time. So Retadup has several mining botnet infections already, and there's one wallet address that we've been able to monitor from Retadup using it to using the public mining pool that it's using. So the operation for the mining Retadup we observed started on June of 2017, and as you can see here from the public mining pool, the pattern of the hash rate has been increasing gradually over the month that it's been active. And up to like March or April of this year, the same pattern could be observed. So while the fluctuation is quite steady, the overall pattern is increasing, and it maintained quite a high value for its hash rate. And in early April of this year, we've seen that from the public mining pool, hash rate activity for Retadup has stopped, at least for this one wallet address. So we're not sure if there's other wallet address Retadup has been using, but for this one, it's basically stopped. And the last payment that, the total payment that Retadup has gained for this wallet is around 1,057 Monero. So if the actor cashed it out at that point in time, the value of Monero is 1 Monero equals to 162 US dollars. So if he cashed out his coins at that time, he would have a total of 171 US dollars, give or take. But if we remember that he has a long span of operation since June 2017, the value of Monero has actually fluctuated, been going up and down during that time, and it peaked at around 400, nearly 500 US dollars. So we don't know when exactly he cashed out his coins, if he cashed it out one by one, or he cashed it out as soon as the mining activity stopped. However, this does not mean that the Retadup activity has totally stopped. So Retadup has actually adapted to changes. So first, from using public mining pools, it has switched into private mining pools. So the reason for this is that public mining pools have actually tried to ban botnet minings in their pools. They've given several reasons, like ethical reasoning, possibility of them getting banned by their ISP for being associated with mining botnets, and also that mining with botnets can negatively affect the legitimate miners. So if mining botnets mine quite fast, the increase in difficulty of the blockchains may increase quicker, and that will affect legitimate miners quicker. So to compensate for this change in the public mining pool, Retadup has constructed its own private mining pool, and its activity now is with its private mining pool, so much harder to monitor. Second adaptation Retadup has done is that it switched from AutoIt into AutoHotkey. So the benefit it gained from switching to a different scripting language is that since the AutoHotkey version is now a pure script, no encoding, no encryption, no compression. So it's able to utilize a polymorphic routine. Every time Retadupe propagates, it adds a random line, which is commented out, so it has nothing to do with actual code. So, however, the hash of the new copy is different every time. And aside from the added line, it also changes the variable names so that it further becomes polymorphic. So different hash per different instance. However, not all components have been switched to AutoHotkey. The mining component Retadupe is still using AutoIt. The main components that's been switched are the spreader and the bot. Also, a behavior that's been observed not only from Retadupe but also from other botnets is previously in their earlier versions, they're running their miner components as totally a command line. And when you check any process monitoring tool, you will see the arguments that's greatly related to mining. So in one look, you can see that it's for mining. There's a algorithm type, the mining pool address, as well as the wallet address used by the users of this mining botnets. However, they've been being cautious recently, so they switched the mode for their mining component. So instead of putting all those information as arguments, they're now put inside configuration files. And that configuration file alone is the argument for the mining component. So when you see here, this is a notepad with a certain argument, quite suspicious still, but you will no longer be able to determine easily that it's a miner. So those are the changes that Retadupe has adapted for mining purposes. Now we inspect Digmine. So this one took advantage of a social media platform, quite a significant difference from the way Retadupe spreads. So Digmine also has several components. So it has a browser extension used for propagation, a miner component which manages the miner, a miner bot which manages the miner component, and the downloader. The downloader basically is also the installer component of Digmine. So Digmine propagates via Facebook. So Digmine launches Chrome with this argument. So basically, the extension component is not from any browser extension component store, or for example, Google Store. It's downloaded from the CNC and installed locally. Normally, Chrome will not load this kind of extension. However, if Chrome is already running, the bot will first terminate Chrome. So, and then relaunch it with this argument. So this argument basically allows Chrome to load a local component that's not from any safe location or safe source. So once browser extension is loaded, it will download further scripts from its CNC, and those scripts basically contain more functions. For example, the main function it has is interact with Facebook and upload a file from its CNC to Facebook server, which is it's basically the downloader component. Afterwards, it will search your friends list and message each of your friends to check out this movie file. So the uploaded downloader component will be an attachment for your message to your friends. So this is how Digmine spread, and while it is quite a fast spreading mechanism, a lot of people using Facebook, it's also quite noisy. So people have to download the downloader from their friend's message and run it. So cautious users might first ask their friends, did you send this one? So it's kind of an opt-out type of spreading where the user has to say, don't want to download this one. And infection, while the spreading is successful via the messenger, if a user downloading it and running the downloader is not guaranteed in this scenario. So how Digmine communicates to its CNC is quite different from Retadupe. So this is a packet construction code from the code of Digmine. So we see it uses the get request for its CNC communication. The main notable trait of this packet is that the header info contains specific information that's specific to Digmine. So it mainly uses a user agent called miner. So user agent change depends on, for example, what browser you use to communicate to the website. So if you use, for example, testing to communicate using a browser, so your user agent is not miner, CNC of Digmine will reply with a different content. So this is the respond communication from the CNC. So as you can see, compared to Retadupe, this has no added protection. It's basically plain text. Even the download of binaries is plain text for this one. And another major difference of Digmine communication to Retadupe, how it utilizes CNC is, it's basically just downloads components from the CNC. And it just checks if, for example, what component or the browser extension component is present in the victim machine. If not, download to CNC. So different use, it basically does not wait for any command, just that the CNC is mainly used as a component repository for Digmine. So now we move on to the I'm sorry coin miner. So I give to my partner, Benson.
Okay, so thanks, Leonard. So let's continue. I'm sorry is one of the most active coin mining bots we're seeing today. So far we've come across two versions. So version 1 is composed of a miner component, which is just XMRig, an open source Monero miner, and a bot component, the miner controller. Then for version 2, the bot component became a loader bot component. It can download additional modules from the CNC. So this includes the miner. Then the miner became a miner injector component. It will inject the actual miner into memory. So this is one of the examples where we saw, I am sorry, it is disguised as bonus bot. So bonus bot is supposed to be a universal bot collector. Yeah, universal bonus collector. It promises to pay out a few dollars per day just by installing it. So once this bonus bot is installed, the bot gets executed and the bot will download and install the miner component, the WinHost. Then WinHost, the miner component, will inject the miner into attrib.exe. So the communication protocol is done in plain text. The HWID here is used to identify individual victims. So the number is taken from volume serial number, which is supposed to be quite unique. So this is the above part. That's the initial CNC communication of the bot, communicating to the CNC that it is alive and waiting for a task. Then the CNC will reply something like this, the usual HTTP headers followed by some tasks. So each task is composed of 3 parts, the task type, the download link, and a task ID. So the task type could be download and execute or update. Both are used for downloading additional components, but update will replace an existing file. Okay, so going back, after executing a task, after completing a task, the bot will reply this one. So the task status completed followed by the task ID. So this is the control panel for I am sorry. It's mainly used for tracking worker bots, so how many are still active. So you can see here are the HWID, and then for the location, yeah, you can see that it's infecting everywhere. Then this is the for updating tasks, so for sending tasks. So aside from I am sorry, Digmine, Retadupe, so let's take a look at some of the coin mining bots being sold in the underground market. So of course, different sellers will have different feature sets. However, there seems to be some items that has to be always there. So for example, this one, silent miner, persistence, idle checking, no drops. Also, the no drops here is basically saying that it will not drop additional component. Everything is packaged inside a single executable. Then semi-FUD, the fully undetectable. Another example, again, silent miner, FUD, startup, which is persistence, then a USB spreading. Another example, again, silent miner, hidden startup, which is persistence. And again, FUD. So to summarize the features, these 5 seems to be the most important one. So when I first read about the silent or hidden, my first impression is that, are they using some kind of rootkit? But actually no, the strategy is very simple. They monitor the list of running applications, and if there's a match with their forbidden list, which is a list of common system monitoring applications, they terminate the miner. Basically, they're trying to prevent the user from seeing the miner having a high CPU utilization. Then single installation file. If your target victim have to do several steps, they will probably not do it. So what the buyers want is a single executable that will do all of the installation process for them. So this can be as simple as a self-extracting archive that will drop all of the required components. Or for the more advanced version, it will probably download additional components from the CNC. Fully undetectable. Basically, this service is checking if your binary is already detected by AV vendors or not. If it's detected, it gets repacked probably several times. Once it is no longer detected, it goes out again. So this is probably the most expensive feature. A standard coin mining bots cost around $10, while those that promises some kind of FUD is almost double that. Then depends on the service level agreement that you want. The price can really goes up. Persistence. So anything to execute the malware on reboot. So it can be scheduled task, service, drop file in startup or registry. But it seems that the most popular ones or the most persistent one are using scheduled tasks. So for example, for this one, it uses the repeat task every 1 minute. So with the right settings, it can execute the malware or the bot every time it is terminated. Then fake error message. So anything to fool the user. It can be as simple as a fake error, or maybe a video, an image, a document. So anything to prevent the user from thinking that something wrong has happened. Then aside from those 5 features, most potential buyers are requesting for a spreader feature. So they want their bots to spread through social media, to USB, but still most sellers seems to be not willing to provide this kind of feature, which is good. Free trial version. Someone has to vouch or guarantee that what you're selling is working. So someone from the community can get a sample of your bot. They will check its hashing rate, evasion capability. They will post something like best miner on the market. Then, of course, who does not want lower price? Okay, so to summarize, so cyber criminals are moving from their usual modus into cryptocurrency mining. Currently, it's probably the most effective way for them to earn money. Mining bots will continue to improve. We've already saw bots propagating through social media to USB, better persistence and evasion. We saw them fully utilizing scheduled tasks. We saw them trying to evade system monitoring processes. They don't execute when the CPU utilization is high. Work around on restrictions. We saw mining bots were banned on mining pools, so they created their own private pool. So as long as cryptocurrency mining remains profitable and of low risk to cybercriminals, they will definitely keep on improving and find ways to evade our current solution. Applied slides. So after this session, what would we recommend you to do? The number one would be listen to your fans, the computer fans to be exact. So if you turned off everything except OS, then your fan is still spinning loudly. It could be an indicator that something is wrong. Then the second one, while not totally related to our presentation, it's still related to coin mining attacks as a whole. So check your cloud accounts. One of the common scenarios that we are seeing is that hackers are somehow able to get your AWS account, and then they create multiple instances just to do mining. So yeah, check your cloud accounts, protect them, secure those images. Then in 3 months, do regular awareness training, phishing training. So this kind of attacks still involves social engineering. So always be on the lookout for new kinds of attacks, for new techniques. Then in 6 months, have a monitoring system. So it's best if you have a monitoring system that can provide actionable threat intelligence. So this way, your security team can provide a better solution and react faster. Then develop a proactive incident response strategy. So always learn from each attack and find ways to prevent the same attack from happening again. So thank you very much, and if you have any questions. Is it okay? Yes. Web. Oh.
Oh. Do you mean the CoinHive miner? Yeah. So, can you repeat the question again? So for those kinds of miners, so they're basically from they're like replacement to ads. So what we see recently is that there are also similar technologies to ad blocks. So I think those are also a bit effective to fight against those coin miners, which are like CoinHive that replaces the ads. So I think for now, those are one of the good tools we can use against these kinds of miners.
When they spoke about they provided features like say unattended virus, etc. You think they just test it against the static detection, let's say using some third party stuff like the virus level? Or do they try to do some great error detection versus maybe which can disclose them to maybe investigators to the cloud systems, etc.
Oh, so you mean the feature testing? For static detection, there's a sort of like underground scanners, like similar to VirusTotal services, but some malware authors, they have like a trust with these service providers that they trust these service providers will not share the samples they're scanning. So for static detections, they use these services. For behavioral, we have not seen any specific service, but we do know some people who vouch for the effectivity of these miners. They have their own way of testing Like it drops several components. It's quite noisy. It's coded in this, for example, coded in AutoIt, and it's quite big. So they will have some testing for that. But it's like every voucher has his own way of testing those.
Okay.
So if no more questions, thank you for attending our session. Good morning.